Vodkast. Hey, Jeff Manchester, Manchester Music. Welcome. This is the latest episode of the Vodkast. On the Vodkast, I answer questions about production, I answer questions about composing, I answer questions about my life, all that stuff. If you want to ask me a question, leave it at vodcastpodcaster@gmail.com. You can tweet me, #Vodcast. It's at Jeff Manch is my Twitter handle. You can write a question in the YouTube sort of comment section, and I will answer it there. I have some stuff from YouTube, some stuff that came in directly to the Vodcast podcaster email, so stuff from all over the board. I'm excited. I just woke up from a nap, and once you're in your 30s, guys, you'll realize how thrilling it is to have naps and wake up from them feeling invigorated. It's little things as we get older that really make life worth living. So the first question here is from Matthew P., and it's a good question because it opens up a conversation that I've wanted to have at least a little bit on the channel, and that's, have you ever been approached for sponsorships or adverts on your channel? Do sample library companies send you stuff to review or feature? So, thank you, Matthew P., for the question. Have I ever been approached for sponsorships or adverts on my channel? So, the way my channel is set up now, by that I mean like the amount of people that I have watching, it's like 6,000 subscribers, which is peanuts. That's not a lot. There's a lot of YouTubers out there, especially in this space, doing composing stuff or mixing stuff or whatever. They have a much higher subscriber count, which is only one indicator of how many people are watching. I mean, YouTube companies don't really care about subscribers, really. It's once you make over, I think, 10,000 subscribers, then they're going, okay, well, what are your views like? That's where it really matters, because the views are what count. Like, I did a video a few days ago where I talked about solo string libraries. I mean, I've got 6,000 followers, almost, thereabouts. And I think 400 or 500 people watched that video. It had 500 views. So all this to say, subscriber count is not an indicator of how many views you're going to get. So all this to say, because I haven't had that many, I don't have a lot of views or a lot of subscribers, and I don't really care because that's not why I ever started the channel. I don't have a lot of people approaching me for advertisements and affiliate schemes. An affiliate scheme, for the uninitiated, is this idea where a company X will approach you and say, we want you to talk about our thing, review it or whatever, and we'll leave a link in your, we'll give you a link and you put it in your description, and basically, say something nice. You don't have to say something nice, but usually that's how it works. Say something semi-positive and enthusiastic, and then when someone clicks the link, there's a cookie embedded, and if they purchase that thing, the YouTuber who talked about the product gets like 10% of that purchase. So, 10% of the sale of that purchase. So the incentive there for the YouTuber is to make money, right? Because you want some of that cut. So you're probably going to say something like, this is amazing, I love this thing, oh my God, there's a link in the description, it's an affiliate link. You have to be honest about that. And then, anyway, so I have tried to stay away from this kind of stuff. I have had a few people, in fact, just last week there was someone who wanted me to do an affiliate link for one of their products. It was a mastering product. And I'm just not, they're not going to see this, so I don't really care. It's not why I started this channel. There's nothing wrong if you want to do that. There's nothing against making money on YouTube. I have a good day job now. I really love my job. I love working for Isotope, which is what I do. I'm still obviously composing and making videos and contributing to this space, but I never started this channel to make money and to be like a YouTuber with, personality and weird jump cuts and stuff, and whoa, it's not me. So, but that being said, I have been approached by a few companies in the past, not for affiliate stuff so much, because again the subscriber count is down, but to do reviews like NFRs and all that stuff. And people on this channel know about my feeling about reviews online. I sort of I should probably shut up about it because I talk a lot about it, and I should probably stop talking about it. But I don't do reviews just because I feel like I don't have the time to devote to really honor the work that a company has done for a year plus to grow a sample library, hire a designer, hire beta testers, have it QA'd for months and months and months. I work in this industry now, and so I know the work it takes. Even before that, before I worked for Isotope, I kind of knew what it took to get a product to market, and I just never felt that I could really honor that product with a full blown review, the kind of review that I think it deserves. And there's a lot of companies now on YouTube that are doing reviews, but they're more like, they're very bite-sized, and they're, maybe under 8 minutes long, and it's very quick, and it's usually just sort of a parroting or a regurgitation of what's in the manual, and then there might be some sort of call to action, like check out the link for the longer written review or whatever. So I try and stay away from that stuff. So I don't often get I get a lot of companies. What I'm trying to get at is, I get a lot of companies asking me to do reviews, and what I'll usually say to them is, listen guys, how about we just do an overview, or we'll do a first look or something like that, and this way we can just get the word out that way, and I'll play with the library. And so that's what I did with Sonokinetic, with the ostinato strings thing. That's what I did with the Thrill from Native Instruments, although after a while they kind of twisted my arm, and I'm like, okay, I'll do a review. Because I'm allergic to that kind of like quick, like, hey, check this out. All right, we got this. Check out the volume potentiometer. That's delay too. There's that there. I'm going to press this key, and then a thing. It's not a review. You're basically regurgitating the company's own marketing. You're reviewing the company's own in-house marketing. A lot of these guys on YouTube will even play the sound examples from the website of the company, and they'll have that playing in the background, and then they'll basically just like read the manual to you, and then be like, check out the full review on our website, and then you click, and then there's a cookie, and it lets them know that you've clicked, and then they've got you in their system, and usually there's a email address. So it's not a review, it's something else. But wow, we've gotten off course here. Companies do send me stuff to review. I usually punt it back and say I'll do an overview or something. That's what happened with Native Instruments, what happened with Sonokinetic. It's what happened with Sound Iron. They wanted me to talk about the Requiem Light Choir that they made, and I'm happy to talk about it because I'd buy that stuff anyway. But I usually just get the product and talk about it on my own terms, because it's a weird thing to have a company sort of looking over your shoulder as you review something. It's a strange feeling, and also I learned very quickly the kind of tantalizing relationship that one can have as a YouTuber with a company where I felt that when I was doing some of these reviews for some of the companies, I'm like, oh, I better not say anything negative, otherwise they're probably not going to send me another NFR. Like NFR, by the way, is not for resale. It's just this version of the product that you get where I guess if you try and transfer the license to someone else, it doesn't work because it's a special kind of serial that they give you. So, and it might also ping their system if you try and sell it, and that'll indicate to them that you're breaking some kind of contract that you have with them. But I learned really quickly just the kind of like pressure that it puts on you to kind of say something nice about a library. For the most part, I'm usually open to doing it as long as it's a product that I would buy anyway. And if they want me to do a review, I'm usually very forward with them. I'm like, I'm going to do a very in-depth review. It's going to be subjective, but also informed by my experience composing and buying VSTs and stuff. But it's going to be like warts and all. It's going to be a very objective, honest, here's exactly how I felt. And to be honest with you, companies don't really care if your review is negative. That they don't care about that. Maybe this will provide some sort of comfort to people that are getting approached, because I'm sure I've got some high rollers watching this channel wondering if they should take on this stuff. So my advice to you and to anyone else out there is, be honest in your reviews. Don't sugarcoat things that you don't like. But if you find that a certain thing isn't working technically with your product, like you go to turn something on and it doesn't work or whatever, send the company that information before you go to publish your review. This happened when I did the Composer Cloud stuff with East West Quantum Leap. Their spaces reverb just wouldn't download, and I told them this before I did my review. It's very it's kind of rude to be like, to basically do a review and then say, well, the spaces thing never downloaded, and East West would be like, well, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you do what anyone would do and contact customer care and then try and download it, and we'll walk you through it. So that's what I did before I did my review. I approached them. They said this is a known issue, and they issued me a support ticket, and then eventually it got taken care of. But I mentioned that in my review, and I said, I went to the website, it didn't work, I got in touch with the support team, blah, 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 blah. Be honest with what's there. If you're there saying, there's no I don't know, there's no tremolo and articulation for this percussion library or something like that, and it's right there, that's what companies don't like. Companies don't like it when you misrepresent the product. They're happy if they're not happy, but they're okay if you're just like, it didn't sound that good, or I found that articulation X could use a bit of work, or I was really surprised that these samples are so wet and I couldn't do anything to reduce the room sound. I couldn't change the mic position. Like, that's all stuff that is valid, I think. It's when you misrepresent the product, when you say there's certain things about the product that aren't there that are there. And this happened in a Facebook group, I think. A gentleman that runs the Facebook group, a really nice guy, he was sort of railing against this one company because this company was no longer sending him NFRs, and it was a pretty big company, and he's like, listen, I'm not going to review this stuff anymore. I got into a dispute with them, and now they won't send me NFRs anymore, and so screw that company. And everyone who's in the Facebook group is like, yeah, screw that company, because they all support the moderator of the group. And then I chimed in because I've been there before, where I've been like, well, maybe they're not sending you an NFR not because they don't want a negative review, but because maybe you misrepresented something or about the product, and they were a little frustrated that you didn't check with them first, and now people have the wrong impression, and that's a sale that they're missing or something. I don't know what I wrote, but because I've done that before, and I work for a big pro audio company, and it happened before that too. And sure enough, the company that he was talking about chimed in, and the guy was like, hi, I'm a designer for the company that you're bashing here, and the guy was like, what Jeff said is correct. That's the problem that we're having. It's not that we're afraid of a negative review, it's that you're misrepresenting key elements of what we've worked so hard on. And then he took down the whole post and everything and whatever. So that is what matters to people. It's misrepresenting the product. And I guess what I'm trying to get at here is that it's a big deal when you're working with NFRs and when you're sort of honoring the relationship that you have with these companies. It's a big deal, and you shouldn't mistreat that relationship. You should be honest about the product. You should be honest about when you're reviewing something, and be honest with your fans and not waste their time, because that's what it comes down to. It's people are coming to this channel, my channel, to learn. And if I'm betraying that trust by taking money from a company and not saying that, oh, this library is amazing, I love it, like Veerharmonic. If Veerharmonic was giving me money and you guys didn't know that, and I always praise Veerharmonic on my channel, then that'd be wasting your time, because I'm lying to you. You know what I mean? And I find that that's kind of happening a lot now, and I get it, because it's YouTube is kind of a wild west, and people need to make money. I understand that. So but for that reason, that's why I'm kind of like, thank God I have a good job, because I couldn't do the sponsored affiliate link blah 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 stuff. I've only done one affiliate link, and that was for the Home Mastering Masterclass with Ian Shepherd, and I took that on because I was like, absolutely, I've taken this course. And then he asked me to do it after I took the course. I was like, yes, I will happily evangelize for you, because I really think that the course is incredible and everyone should know about it. And that's the first time I did it, and I had an affiliate link, and I was very clearly in the description, affiliate link and all this stuff. And as it was, I don't think anyone clicked it, and I didn't make any money. But I don't care. I really think that is an incredible course for anyone that wants to learn about mastering. And from that course, I'm actually building my own YouTube 5 or 6 or 7 part series on mastering, which I alluded to a few videos ago in the past. So have I ever been approached for sponsorships or adverts on the channel? Yes, but I usually sort of punt them away just because I can't deal with the psychic issues involved with trying to promote something on the channel and get money for it in a positive light. Do sample library companies ever send me stuff to review or feature? Absolutely, and I always tell you. When something happens like that. I'll always say, Native Instruments just sent this to me, or Sonokinetics sent me this to play with. That's what you have to do. You have to disclose that. But I try and stay away from reviews because I feel like I can't do them justice. I don't have the time to do a big in-depth. When I open Sound on Sound, I love going through like a 7-page review of a pedal or a product or a speaker or whatever. And that's what I feel these companies deserve. They deserve a big, long, hard thought analysis and all that stuff. And I've only done it once with Thrill, and I felt pretty good about that. And the company got in touch with me, actually. I forget what they're called. Galaxy Instruments. They got in touch on Facebook, and they were like, gave all their like counterpoints of all the things that I didn't like about it, and they were so polite. They're like, actually, we think that this, and we think that that, and to be fair, you were right about this. However, and it was awesome because like I could tell that they respected that I had done a long, thorough, objective review, and that I hadn't just described what was in the manual and then written some like 4-paragraph thing where I describe what's I don't know. I love those big reviews. I love going to the New Yorker and reading the huge film reviews, the 3-page long film review. When you get to the end of the review in the New Yorker, you're not even sure if the company liked the film. But anyway, so until I feel like I can bring those things to this channel and everything, I'm not going to do them per se. But yeah, the other problem with that is that a lot of people think that I'm still doing reviews. When I feature stuff on the channel, they're like, well, it's not a review with a capital R, but you're still talking about the product. And to me, that's like, yeah, I know. And that was one of the problems that I ran into with Daniel James, was that I did this thing. I unloaded a clip on this one Facebook group about reviewers and everything. And he actually chimed in. And he's like, why are you shitting on reviewers? Because he was like, hey, I review stuff, and that was the problem. And I was like, oh man, I don't consider Daniel James a reviewer. He doesn't do reviews. He does like first look, let's play, first impressions, overview. He's not a reviewer, but I guess some people think of him as a reviewer, and he obviously thought of himself as one. And so I tried to clarify that, and hopefully we're in a good place now, him and I, because we reached out on Facebook, and I think that we're better. I think that we're going to be just fine, in fact. But anyway, so hopefully that answers your question, Matthew. If it didn't, then I don't know how I'm going to answer it, because that was really long-winded. Okay, Ethan Hauser asks, I'm not sure if you've covered this in any past episodes, but I would be really interested in hearing about how to transition to being a full-time composer. What connections did you have to make to get your songs heard or used? Do you have a website made with a catalog of music? Just a demo reel that you were sending out to the world out cold, he says. More broadly, what are some things that you wish you knew before full-time composing happened? Okay, so Ethan, transitioning into, I don't know what the hell's going on upstairs. Transitioning into a full-time composer, what connections did I have to make? So I have answered this in another Vodkast. I think I'll give you the elevator pitch version. Basically, for a long time I wanted to be an actor, and so I moved around a lot. I knew a lot of people in the acting scene, and then when I came to Toronto, I reconnected with a lot of them, and they are actors in this city. This is a big acting city. Everyone you meet is usually at a restaurant or a bar or whatever, usually waitressing or serving or hosting, whatever. They're all actors on the side. The thing to know about that is a lot of actors, there's not a lot of work, especially in this city. It's very oversaturated, the market. So they'll go to an audition, there's like 500 people there, and it's a big cattle call. So what a lot of actors do is they create their own work, which is very smart. So they'll do workshops on directing and writing, and then they'll call themselves directors and writers, which you are, if you want to be, I guess. So, and they will write themselves into a role. So you see what I'm saying? So they're like on the director, on the writer, and on the lead actor, and then you hire a bunch of other actors or whatever, and you sort of play out your own story. So you create your own work. So I knew this was happening, and I got in touch with when I wanted to be a composer. I got in touch with a lot of actor friends that I knew that were in Toronto, and sure enough, they were all directors and writers. I do this close because they all really just want to act. They don't want to direct, and this one guy actually is a friend of mine, Jonathan Dubsky. He's one of the first guys I ever made music for. He's actually played, he was in Watch Dogs 2. I don't know if you guys have played that game, but he's one of the characters. I think he wears like a little hoodie and everything. So he made a movie called Mars is Laughing at Us, and that was one of the first things that I ever composed for here in Toronto. And I was always hoping he would continue making films because he's really good. He's a really good director and writer. But recently he was like, I'm going to Montreal for an Ubisoft thing. I'm sorry, I'm not doing a lot of films. And I was all like, ugh, Jonathan, come on. And then I realized, I'm like, dude, he always wanted to be an actor. I shouldn't be mad, he was doing what a lot of actors do. They create work for themselves. And they build a resume for themselves, and that's how they get work as an actor. And then they have this beautiful reel when you go to their website. A reel is sort of like a demonstration of a condensed demonstration of everything they've done. So now he did his Watch Dogs 2 thing, and he's doing like Comic-Con booths and stuff like that. And anyway, so but basically, those are the connections that I made. I was hooking up with all these actor directors, and I was like, hey, well, I'm a composer now, so do you need music? And they're all like, absolutely. yeah, I've been hired this one guy and I wasn't happy with him, or I got this one girl and she was okay, but she's in a different province. And anyway, so that's kind of how I pigeonholed. I squeaked my way into that kind of world by getting in touch with people who are actors and all that stuff. But that was a little while ago. Now I have the channel going, and I've made some really good connections with people, and so I don't have to hustle as much. I do have a website. It's very important. Obviously, it's kind of a no-brainer to have a website where your songs are there. More important than that, though, I'd say the really important thing is to have a website where you have your music to picture. That's really important. And I had an exit interview with a client, and I was like, why'd you pick me? Because that's something that I always do. At the end of a project, I'm always like, how did you decide upon me as the composer? And one person told me, it was very valuable. They said, we chose you because when we went to your website, you had actual sound examples to picture, to video. And they could see how the music interacted with, a visual sort of medium, and that was really important to them. So try and do that, whether it's getting stock, if you're a super novice composer, get stock footage, cheap stock footage that's free or whatever. A lot of people do this really lame thing where they take like Batman, they'll take like The Dark Knight Rises or whatever, and then they'll just write their own music to that and copy and paste it. To me, it's like, okay, you can do that, but directors and producers will see that and be like, wow, this guy really doesn't have a lot of work. If you don't have a lot of work, then just don't. It looks kind of tacky. I think it looks kind of tacky. I don't know what directors think. Maybe they think it's awesome and they're fooled into thinking that you're like Hans Zimmer or something, but I'd say try and... If you don't have any visual stuff, then just get stock footage, get, videoblocks.com has a lot of great stuff, and just use that to compose. There's always these competitions all over the place where I think Sonokinetic did it, and a few other companies did it, where they have like a contest where you can compose for a piece of footage that they shot. Just find video examples and do that. And if you can't, then just be honest and be like, video stuff coming, and then just have your SoundCloud underneath or something like that. Don't be, in my view, don't be tacky when it comes to getting some sound to picture examples. It just doesn't look, it looks weird. Or, do whatever you want. It's your life. So it goes, what are some of the things that you wish you knew before full-time composing happened? Well, to be fair with you, Ethan, I don't think I'm a full-time composer because I have a lot of other stuff on the go. Even before I was starting out as a composer, I was interested in mixing and mastering music. So I'm getting to do a lot more of that now, which I love. So I would say I'm flattered that you think I'm a full-time composer, but it's not really it's not my full-time job to compose. I do a lot of composing, don't get me wrong, but what do I wish I knew before composing happened? Well, I guess I wish I would have started a little earlier, because, if I'm going to live till 90, I'm already a third of the way there, and then it's just blackness and death and nothing else. So I wish I'd started a little earlier. That isn't really stuff I wish I knew before, but I wish I'd started when I was like 20 or something like that. But if I go back and play that game, then I wouldn't have met all the people that I did meet that were actors when I was trying to be an actor, who would help me establish credibility as a composer in the Toronto scene. So it's this weird, you can go back and forth thing. But I kind of wish that I'd started earlier. I'm always envious when someone writes me on the Vodkast and they're like, I'm 17. Here's my website, and they're amazing. And they're like, what do I do now? And I'm just like, I must destroy you. I'm going to find you and kill you. It's not fun to put on the web, but I just did. So anyway, I'm sorry I don't have one of those what do I wish I knew before. You don't want to know anything. You want to make mistakes and learn from them and just build and become like a smart, cool person full of your past experience, which will sharpen and guide your own intuition when you have to negotiate contracts or whatever. You don't want to know a whole bunch of stuff going in. You want to be fresh and free of bad habits so that you can make mistakes and screw up. And Christian Henson has a really good channel. If you're not there, you have to be there. It's a great channel, and he was talking about how, the higher up you go, the more you'll be fired, and that's absolutely true. The higher up you go, the more prestige you have and the more experience under your belt, the more likely it is you will get fired, and that's okay. That's normal. That's a really crappy answer to your question. I'm very sorry, but let's just move on to Lucas Richardson. Hello, Jeff. I am looking to start a YouTube channel and am not having much luck finding what I need. Could you quickly talk about the screen and audio capture software that you use on the next Vodkast? Yes. I'll basically be doing the same thing as you, but with a focus on synths and music theory. Please send me a link to that once it happens, Lucas. I'm interested. So far as I know, what are you using for... Are you using Woodwork for me as well? What are you... You are using Woodwork for me as well. Sorry, I'm just having a hard time tonight. Thank you. P.S. Keep up the good work. Your shootout videos are very helpful. Thank you, Lucas. That's very kind of you to say. All right, let's get into it here. So I have a really crappy, it's called Neewer, or Neewer. It's Neewer. I ordered this from Amazon. It's terrible. It's this broadcasting arm that we're seeing. You can't really see. I'll put it up here. Okay. It's the arm that this microphone is on. It's a piece of shit, but it gets the job done from Amazon. Pop filter is SE. This was given to me by a friend, which I like. The metal, I feel just it reduces the plosives a bit more effectively than something mesh. The microphone is an AT2020 USB-I. I did a whole video on it, so go check that out. And this is a great mic because it's micro HDMI to either Lightning, so I can put it in my iPad or my phone, or USB. Right now I have it connected USB to my 2013 Trashcan Mac Pro. I'm using a webcam as well. It's a Logitech. It's the Carl Zeiss Tesser or something like that, HD 1080p. It's their kind of business. I'm going to Amazon right now and get the specifics for you. 1 second here. It's the Enterprise microphone that they do, and you'll find it all over. It's like 1080p, so it's pretty good quality, although you don't always get 1080p when you record. Depends on the application. On Skype you get 1080p, but on like maybe I have to change something in the settings, you don't get 1080p when you're just recording off of QuickTime, which is what I'm using right now. But if I go to my orders here, you can see specifically 2016. That's when I ordered it, right? Right. So the Logitech Webcam C930E. They say it's a business product with HD 1080p video and 90-degree field of view. And it's sold by 5 Star Tech, which sounds like a made-up company. So that's what I'm using to record this. For post-production, I don't use a lot of stuff for audio. Like I seldom do any post-production on my voice. I find that if you know what you're doing with your mic and how far you need to be from it and you're using things to mitigate plosives, I mean, I could get rid of some of the room noise here. This room has a very high noise floor. What do you expect? It's a bachelor apartment behind one of the busiest streets in Toronto, Spadina, so you're getting a lot of noise from the environment, but whatever. For video post-production, I'll usually edit this in ScreenFlow or I'll edit it in iMovie. Don't want to brag, it's iMovie. Whoops. So I'll use that. So hopefully that gives you an idea of where you need to go and what you need to buy in order to do these vlogs. But yeah, I'll use ScreenFlow or iMovie. And to record this, I'm just using QuickTime, which is obviously a native application on my Mac. And you just go New Movie Recording, hit Option Apple N, and you are good to go, Lucas Richardson. And hopefully that gets you started. Avril Williams asks, should I use separate external hard drives for my mixing plugins and sound examples, or put them on one external hard drive together, or put it on an internal hard drive? ? So if I understand your question, you're wondering samples for sample libraries and your plugins should be on one external hard drive. Here's the thing. I don't think you can put mixing plugins on an external hard drive. I think they have to be internal, because you've got stuff like plist, components, VST, audio application information, all kinds of other weird stuff that comes with your plugins. If there's iLock information in there, if there's other stuff that triggers other software management security stuff. So I don't think your mixing plugins can be on an external drive. I just don't think they can. So, but the good news is your sound samples, your contact library stuff, UVI, whatever, that can live on an external drive. Not the application and the other component stuff, but the samples themselves. So you can summon them from an external drive. And the thing you want to do there, go watch my other video I did on hard drives. I forget what I called it. I think I call it like external hard drives or something like that. Go find that, and there I basically just give the advice of, like, try and put your samples on something that's extremely fast and easy to summon. And right now I'm using a 4 terabyte Samsung Evo something SSD. It's really expensive, but for me, my libraries keep growing and I want the space and I want the speed of an SSD, which basically has the same sort of architecture as a flash drive, and it's quiet. There's no moving parts, so it's absolutely silent, which is perfect for these videos and just for composing in general. I'm kind of like Martin Scorsese. If you know anything about him, he despises distractions and noise on set. It has to be like perfectly silent. That's kind of how I am too. If something is distracting me, then it's getting me away from my creative sort of work. So just put that out there. So yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think mixing plugins can be internal. So your question is kind of hard for me to answer, but just put your sound samples and all that stuff from your sample libraries on the fastest thing you can find. If your internal drive is faster than an external drive, put it there. In fact, sometimes the internal busing is going to be faster than if you're going from, USB 3 into your computer and whatever. If you're using internal busing on your internal drive, that might some of the samples faster than do that. Experiment, try moving the library onto an external drive and then see how long it takes to bring them into contact or whatever, and then try putting them on the internal drive and doing the same thing. And if one's faster, then that's the one that you want to go with. Darksism asks, this is the last question, by the way. Why are your videos at a lower volume than most other videos out there? Is it intentional or just how you end up exporting it? So I'm really sorry about that, Darksism. Basically, I used to have my videos up really loud, and people complained that they were too loud and they could hear things like mouth sounds and all that, and I don't blame them. So I turned them down, and I'm of the theory that, you want a dynamic voiceover and dynamics in your music and all that stuff. So I try to turn my stuff down in the hopes that YouTube will turn it up with their loudest normalization, although they never seem to do that with my videos. They're always kind of quiet, but this way you can just turn it up on your end. You can own the volume. But that being said, they probably could come up a little bit more, and it's kind of ironic because I'm so stingy about volume and loudness and short term versus integrated momentary loudness and loudness units, and I talk about it on the channel, and I have to do a lot of it for my job at Isotope, but I don't really do a lot of volume management for these YouTube videos because it's kind of like a fun thing. But I'll be trying to keep the loudness up. You shouldn't say volume, by the way. Volume is like science, like putting stuff into a beaker. Say loudness, so that's more audio nerdy. So the loudness will come up, in this video included, and hopefully it won't be so hard to hear, Darksism. There's nothing worse than just having to sit there and lean in, and that's annoying. So hopefully I'll make this at a nice competitive level for loudness. So anyway, that's it for this Vodkast. If you want to ask me a question, vodcastpodcaster@gmail.com. Tweet at JeffMan. Do what you got to do. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll just leave it there. Take care.